Welcome back to the Talent Table with Elena and Christy, episode 8. We are going to talk about resumes as promised. More specifically, our top 10 tips and a couple of myth busters when it comes to preparing your next resume. So let's dive right into it. Christy, tip number 1.
All right, tip number 1, always have a master resume at the ready. So just have something out there that kind of illustrates your past experiences, very high level, that you could then take and tweak if you see a job opportunity that you'd like to apply to. What about tip number 2?
Tip number 2, the summary section. This is a section somewhere near the top of the page where you are going to concisely tell who you are, what value you bring to the organization or position, and highlight some key accomplishments or technical skills that you really want to hit on. No more begging, and no more being vague either. No more saying, oh, any position will do, just want to get my foot in the door. Absolutely not. We're going to be specific and concise, telling who we are, what value we bring, and some of our key accomplishments and technical skills. Tip number 3, Christy.
Hey, let's build on those technical skills for tip number 3. If you have experience with specific technical skills that might be listed in a job ad, this is not the time to keep the recruiter guessing. You need to list those out specifically in your resume because recruiters only spend a limited amount of time reviewing each resume that comes through. So you need to capture their attention on the front end, make sure they know that you've got those skills so that they can move you forward in the process. What about tip number 4?
Work experience. So the work experience section of your resume, don't feel obligated to follow a traditional format. What I would rather see is your key accomplishments and projects that you've done. Go ahead and list them there. Projects you've done, solutions you've solved, all those different types of things relating to your work experience, technical skills. Like we said, you don't always need to put a list of full job description, especially if you're applying for something that already kind of aligns with what you're doing. Now, if you have transferable skills, you may want to list that and develop that some more in your work experience, but it's going to be more important to highlight your key accomplishments, projects, and solutions. Tip number 5, Christy.
All right, tip number 5 is keywords. Go back, read that job ad, and then look at your resume and make sure your resume reflects the wording that's in the job posting. I'm not at all saying to lie. So if you don't have the experience, don't put it in there. But if you do have the experience and it's written, like, for example, looking for someone with experience in the full software development cycle, and your resume just says experienced software developer, go back and rework that statement to show some of the key attributes that reflect a full stack developer. What about 6?
6. Okay, guys, no more ugly resumes. We're going to hashtag that, no more ugly resumes. It is 2020, so let's modernize your resume. Not saying you have to have a whole bunch of emojis and color and this and that. It can be traditional, but it should be clean and aesthetically appealing. So there are so many apps out there that you can use yourself. You don't have to have a professional service to do that. Canva is one of my favorite apps. It's relatively easy to use. I'll put the comments below, but no more ugly resumes, guys. It's a competitive job market. You're probably going to have several applicants that align with your skill set and experience. So don't let that ugly resume get in the way. Tip number 7, Christy.
Tip number 7, keep it professional. There's really no need to add any information that's not related to your work experience or the job posting on your resume. And you really don't even need to put like your street address, mailing address on your resume or any other personal information. City and state's enough. You can also drop in like a link to your LinkedIn profile and your contact information. That's going to give the recruiter a little bit more information, but really, guys, just keep it professional. What about tip number 8?
Tip number 8. Something that's going to be really easy for you to update your resume is using power words and verbs. So say you don't have a lot of time, you come across a great opportunity, you have that master resume, like Christy said. So you're going to go back in, you're going to tweak just a little bit. You want to use action words when you're describing your past job experience. Strong words that describe how you influenced a particular action. For example, words like drive, implement, pioneered, forecasted. I'll highlight more of these below in the comments. Tip number 9, Christy.
Tip number 9, this is more of a personal opinion, but picture or no picture on your resume. My personal preference is no picture. I really think that you should use that real estate to further build out your skills and experiences as they might align to the particular job posting that you're applying to. And your headshot is really great for LinkedIn. So again, connect the recruiter back to your LinkedIn through a link on your contact information. And then my personal preference, leave the picture off that resume. What about tip number 10?
All right, tip number 10 and the final tip. 2 pages is okay. I know what you've heard, that you want to concise and put everything into 1 page, but for some of these roles, and especially as you move up the ladder in some of these executive positions, senior leadership, Law department roles, 2 pages is going to be okay. You just want to make sure the experience that you're listing is relatable to the jobs that you're applying for. You don't have to list every single experience. That's not what I'm saying, but you want to list relevant experiences, education, projects, accomplishments that align with the role. And if you're not sure what to put on or what to leave off, a good place to start is the roles and responsibilities section of a job ad.
Let's get into those myths around resumes and applying for jobs. I think it's pretty interesting that a lot of job seekers today think that computers are just automatically scanning their resume and then kicking you out if you had some misspelling or grammar error on your resume. That might be true at some companies, but for the companies that Elena and I have worked for, that just isn't happening. Recruiters are actually reviewing each and every resume that comes through for job postings, and sending those forward to hiring managers if they're even minimally qualified. I think I send more that I am questioning than if I wasn't. So just trust and believe if you apply to a position, it's very unlikely that a computer is looking at your resume and kicking you out.
So a myth that I would like to bust is quantity over quality and spamming your resume everywhere, right? So you don't just want to apply for any and everything and then just to see what sticks. That's not going to work. You're going to feel the rejection more than you should, right? So it's recommended that you take a calculated approach to applying for jobs with a curated resume. You're going to have that master resume, and then you're gonna have those little tweaks. You're gonna have those power words and those verbs that align with that particular job. And that's how you should apply. If you don't know what you want, you don't know how you contribute or what value you're bringing to an opportunity or organization, that's gonna come across not only your candidate presentation, your resume, cover letter, video introduction, etc., but it's also gonna come up and be demonstrated in other parts of the evaluation, like your interview. Once again, you wanna be directed, curated. Don't spam your resume, please. Thank you. Christy, anything else?
I think another myth I might disparage is the gap in the resume or your work history, leaving a gap off, or maybe trying to lie about dates to hide a gap in your resume. First and foremost, number one rule with resume is be honest, because somebody was always going to find out the truth, right? Also, gaps aren't bad because we're all human and life comes up. I have a gap on my resume. I think it's important to make sure that you're honest and illustrate that gap on your resume. And then in an interview, you could then kind of articulate or give them the story on why you have the gap. Because again, we're all human, things happen. What about you, Elena? Anything else to add?
Yeah. Do you really want to work for an organization that's going to give you a hard time about a gap? So,
right.
But I don't really have another myth, but I do have a tip. So when you're looking at applying for particular opportunities and you want to really stand out and have some different things you can do to stand out on your resume, sometimes you can find some secrets, kind of hidden things in the job titles. Or you look at the job level of some of those keywords like senior, mid-level, executive. So for instance, if you're applying for a senior software developer or senior sales representative, the hiring team is really looking for someone to come in with little to no learning curve, with a skill set and past experience of developing other team members. So you want to highlight that on your resume, right? It's not said, but that's kind of what they're looking for. You're coming into a mid-level leadership position. Can you lead and provide solutions and to challenges that we as an organization are facing right now? So you're researching the organization, right? You can put some of those keywords in there about how you're helping your team overcome certain objectives or obstacles, and how you're leading your team to drive and hit results. However, senior leadership or executive positions, the hiring team is going to be looking for you to lead the charge and overcome obstacles in new spaces, right? So places we haven't been. So it's important for you to know what's coming in the industry, what's coming for this particular organization. How have you done that in the past? Where are you leading us to places we have never been, new spaces? So be sure to highlight those examples on your resume and be prepared to articulate them in an interview as well. But lastly, if you're looking for a junior or entry-level position, make sure that you show and demonstrate agility and resourcefulness to close potential knowledge and experience gaps quickly. Not just, oh, I'm a fast learner. I see that all the time. I'm a hard worker. Okay, well, it'd be better if you demonstrated how you overcame a knowledge gap or experience to demonstrate how you're a hard worker or a quick learner. I always see that. I'm a quick learner. Okay.
I think that's all I got, Elena. Thanks.
All right. Fantastic. Well, you heard it here. Christy and I's top 10 tips for your resume.